Good afternoon. So in the previous class we were discussing about array list, vector and linked list. Okay. Great then. So let's continue with this. So there is one more list that is pending, and that is, what is it? Okay. So usually what exactly do we mean by stack? I think you have already learnt about that particular thing, because when you were learning about the JVM, you had already seen there are 4 segments: heap, stack, static and core. So however the stack operates inside your JVM, the same way the stack is built over here. So in JVM, whatever stack data structure is there, that is what has been implemented. So if you had observed that particular case, you clearly know that whenever a method starts executing, the activation record or the stack frame of that gets created. Where is it pushed from? If you ask me, it will always put from the top. And after that, when again one more method is called, the stack frame of that, does it come above that or below that or somewhere randomly in between? It always comes on the top. Is that clear to you? So that is how a stack operation usually happens, and whenever you remove that, it is always removed from the same place where it was entered. So there is only one entrance and only one exit. Is that clear to you? So there is only one opening is what I mean by this. So if you want to put anything into the stack, you need to put through the same place, and if you want to remove anything, you need to remove from the same place. Is that clear to you? And for this you would have seen so many real-time examples. Normally if you take a small box and if you keep books one above the other, that is nothing but the real-time stack. Is that clear to you? So if you do that particular thing, let's assume that you have a small box. Inside that you are keeping all your books. There is only one opening for that particular box. Now which book will you be able to remove first? The one which you kept last, that is the one which you will be able to remove first. So the last one which came inside will be the first one to go outside, and that's why you call it as last in, first out. Is that clear to you? And same way, which one would be the last book to remove? Whichever was the first book that you kept inside the box, that will be the last book to be removed, and that's why you call it as first in, last out. Is that clear to you? Now, what all are the methods that is present inside the stack? If you ask, whatever you have seen in your vector, those are the methods. What have we seen in vector? Whatever is available inside your collection and whatever is available in your list is available inside your vector, and all those methods are present inside your stack. Apart from this, what are the properties? Whatever are the properties of your vector, the same properties are applicable. What all are the constructors? Constructors are very simple. The 3 major constructors that we have seen. What are those? One with 0 parameters, one with collection, and the other one with initial capacity. These are the constructors that is available for stack. Apart from all of this, what is extra over here if you ask me? There are few specialized methods present in stack. And what are those specialized methods is what we are going to see. So let's assume that I am referring this stack as S. So in case, if I want to push anything inside this particular class, inside this stack, all I need to do is say S dot push. S is nothing but the name of the stack. I will say push, and object whatever I want, I need to push. So a simple example of this could be something like this: S dot push 10. What happens is 10 gets pushed into this particular stack. I want to push another element, so I will say S dot push 20. So 20 gets pushed into the stack, and it will be always on top of 10. So 20 gets pushed over here. Again I will say S dot push 30. So what happens is 30 gets pushed into the stack. Again if I say S dot push 40, then 40 gets pushed into the stack. Is it clear to you? So you can clearly see you got the elements pushed one above the other. Is it clear to you? So this part is what we normally call as top of the stack. Now I want to remove the element. If I want to remove the element, there is already a method called as remove all, retain all of these things. But if you want to remove the element which is there on the top of the stack, there is a method. What is the name of the method if you ask me? The name of the method is what we call as pop. So if you say S dot pop, what happens is, whatever is the first element or whatever, sorry, not the first element, whatever is the element which is on the top of the stack, that will be popped out. Not just popped out, along with this, the pop method will also return whatever it popped. What did it pop just now? 40. So it will return 40. So the return type of that, what will it be? Not integer, object. Because is it necessary I will be able to add only integer, or I will be able to add any object? Any object. Is that clear to you? Next, for example, I want to know what is there on the top of the stack, but I don't want to remove that element. In that particular case, I can say peek. Now what does peek method do is, it will say what is there on the top of the stack, but it will not remove the element. So it will not remove the element, but it will just make sure that whatever is there on the top of the stack, that shall be removed. So if I say s dot peek, then what is there on the top of the stack? 30. It will return that particular value. That's all it does. Is that clear to you? Apart from these three methods, there is one more method called as search. What does this search method do, if you ask me? It will say from top of the stack, in which location is the element present. For example, I will say s dot search and I will pass 10. So from the top of the stack, in which location is it present? If I give the numbering from top of the stack, 1, 2, 3. 10 is present in which location? 3. So it will return us 3. Is that clear to you? If there was 10, 20, 30, 40, and then if I told s dot search 10, what will it return? 4, because 40 will be in location 1, 30 in 2, 20 in 3, 10 in 4. So it will return 4. Is it clear to you? So these are the different specialized methods that is present when it comes to stack. Any doubts in these methods? So this is all about the list interface. So inside the list we have array list, linked list, vector, stack. So these are all the different methods present in this particular. Any doubts still here? No. So in the previous class, I had shown you how to add element, how to print all the elements, how to write a loop to print the elements. Whatever I had shown you, the same thing is applicable for array list, linked list, vector, stack. Because what is the thing is, in all of these methods, in all of these collections, is the method same or are they different? Methods are same. Since the methods are same, you don't have to change any code. The code remains same. Only one change you will do. What is that? Creation of the collection. That is all is the difference. Any doubts still here? No. Great then. Apart from this, there are different other things that we'll have to learn apart from this collection. What are those is what we are going to see. So the next collection that we have over here is set. I will not start with set. But even before I start with set, there are some other things that we need to learn. What is that, if you ask me? There is something called as cursors. You know cursor normally in your monitor? Yes. What exactly does it do is, it will show you where exactly your cursor is moving, correct or not? If you want to click on something, you can move it wherever you want and you can click on this. You want to open it, you can double click on it. You want to delete it, you can delete that particular thing. So many options you get over there. Why? Because you can move it wherever you want, and the same way we have also cursors over here and we can move it wherever we want in collections. And what are the cursors that we have is what we are going to see. So the first cursor that we have over here is called as enumeration. What does it do is, it just acts as a cursor. How does it work is what we will see. Let's assume that is the list that I have. If I have the list, this as of now doesn't have any cursor created for this. If you want to create any cursor for this, there is a method for that, and the name of the method is what we call as elements. How do I call this method, if you ask? I need to say the name of the list or the name of the collection dot the method name. So I will say lst dot elements. If I say lst dot elements, one cursor gets created. Where does it get created? The cursor, whenever it gets created, it will be at the starting of this particular list. Now what is that I want to do is, that cursor, for that particular cursor I should give a name. How do I give a name? Whatever you have created, give a reference for that. That is all you need to do. I will give a reference as E. And you need to understand how array is an object, string is an object, cursor is also a object. So you need to say this is a reference to the object, means this is your E. You need to say what is the type of E. What is the type of E if you ask me? Type of E is nothing but enumeration. So I will say enumeration E is equal to lst dot. Is that clear to you? So this is how you can create one cursor. Now what is the use of this cursor? The use of this cursor is, this cursor can say you, is there elements inside your list or not? That is one thing it can do. One more thing that it can do is, it can actually get you the element so that you can do any kind of operation based on that element. Means if you want to fetch the element, it will help you to fetch. How exactly? For that there are different methods, and these are the methods. So if you want to know whether there are more elements, you need to say has more elements. How do I call this has more elements if you ask me? You should not say lst dot has more elements, rather you need to say E dot has more elements. So if I simply say E dot has more elements like this, this will just say me, are there more elements in this list or not? But what exactly it does is, when you say has more elements, it will see whether there are more elements on the right side of this cursor or not. Is there more elements on the right side of this cursor? Yes or no? If yes, then it will return true. If it is not there, then it will return false. Is that clear to you? So what does this has more elements return? If you ask, it will always return you a Boolean value. After this, in case if you want to fetch the element, how do you fetch if you ask me? You just call the method called as next element. How do I call next element? lst dot next element or E dot next element? E dot next element. If I say E dot next element over here, this will help me to fetch the next element. When I say next element, it will not fetch any element, it will fetch the very next element. What is that? 10. So it will return you 10 over here. Now, you want to store that value in a variable, you store it. You want to add that value with some other variable, you can do that. You want to print that, you can put a print statement and print. Is it clear to you? But apart from returning this 10, one more thing will happen over here. What is that if you ask me? It will return 10 and it will also move the cursor one step towards the right side. So whenever you call the method next element, it does two things. It will return the element and move the cursor one step right. Is that clear to you? Now you want to check whether there are more elements on the right side of this particular thing. Is there more elements or not? Yes. How do you check? E dot has more element. If you say E dot has more elements, are there more elements on the right side? Yes. If yes, it returns true. If it returns true, I want to print the next element. How do I print the next element? E dot next element. If I say E dot next element, it will return that particular element and it will move one step right side. Now again I want to check whether there is more element over here. How do I check? E dot has more element. Is there more elements or not? Yes. If it is true, I want to again print the next element. How do I print the next element? E dot next element. If I say E dot next element, it will return me the next element and after that it will move this E one step towards the right side. Is that clear to you? Like this, can I print all the elements or not? Yes. Again I will check E dot has more element. Is it there or not? If it is there, I will say E dot next element. It will print it. Same way I can continue doing this and it will go all the way till the end. Is that clear to you? So if I am repeating this again and again, can I put that inside a loop or not? Which loop would you suggest? While loop would be best because this is returning you what type of value? Boolean value. The only condition is has more elements, that's all. No initialization, no condition, condition is there, this is the condition. No increment, decrement or anything. So directly you can write this condition inside the while loop. So I will put this inside the while loop and I will say e dot next element. If you want to print this, put this inside system dot out dot print. Is it clear to you? Any doubts in this? Great. So this is all you need to do if you want to traverse a list and print all the elements. Any doubts? No. There is too much of sound from this. It was there from starting? Backside also? No? Go over there. This one. Mic 3, right? Mic 3. Mic 3. Yes, reduce it. Full you reduce it. Still sound is there? Oh, then that's not the problem. Anyone attended the previous class over here? Yes? Which class? Which was the previous class here? Still sound is there? No. Now? Sound is there, right? Say them mic wire, there is a problem. This one. Now it's gone? Still there? Fine. So this is one way that you can actually traverse the list, but there is a disadvantage in this. What is the disadvantage if you ask me? The disadvantage is you cannot use this enumeration for all the collections. You can use it only for two collections, that is for vector and stack. If you want it for list, if you want it, array list or linked list or hash set or linked hash set or tree set, you cannot use them. That's the disadvantage of this. Is it clear? Then how do I overcome this? For that we have another cursor, and that is what we call it as Iterator. I think you would have heard this name somewhere. Where? In collections I showed all the methods. There was one method I did not show you, correct? That is the method. So if you want to create the object of this, you need to have any kind of list or collection. I have this particular collection. So what I can do is, I can call a method called as Iterator. Have you seen this method? Where is this method present? It is present inside the collection. So you need to call this method. How can you call this? You can say lst.iterator. What does it do? It will create a cursor. How? Same as enumeration. So it will create a cursor over here. You need to give a name for this, or you need to give a reference for this. How do I do it? Very simple. I will say ITR. So ITR will be the name given for this particular cursor. I need to mention the type. What is the type? Iterator. If you have seen the method that you have written down in collection, what was the return type of this? Iterator itself. So that is only your type. Is that clear to you? Now what I want to do is, I want to check whether there are more elements on the right side. How do I check it? Very simple. There is a method for that, and the name of the method is hasNext. So this will say whether there is a next element or not. Is there a next element? Yes. If there is a next element, it returns true. No next element, it returns false. How do I call it? lst.nextElement or itr.nextElement? You need to say itr.next, not next element, hasNext. So when you say hasNext, it will return as true because there are next elements. If it returns true, what I need to do is, I want to fetch that element and print it. How do I fetch the element? For that there is another method called as next, and the next method will help you to fetch the next element. So how do I call the next element? LST dot next or ITR dot next? You need to simply say ITR dot next. This method will return the element, and after returning the element, it will take the cursor one step towards the right side. Exactly same as enumeration. Again, I want to check whether there is next element. Is there next element? Yes. How do I check? ITR dot as next. Is it there or not there? It is there. So condition is true. If condition is true, I want to print the element. If I want to print, how do I get the next element? ITR dot next. If I say ITR dot next, it will return me the next element and it will move one step towards the right side. Is that clear to you? Again, I want to check whether there is a next element. If I need to check, I will say ITR dot has next. Is there a next element? Yes. If there is a next element, I want to print that. How do I print? First I will fetch by saying ITR dot next. How do I, when I say ITR dot next, it will return me the next element, and after returning the next element, it will move one step towards the right side. Is that clear to you? Like that, can I keep repeating this again and again, and can I move all the way till the ending or not? Yes, you can do that particular thing. So what is that I need to do is, I need to put that inside a loop. So I will put this inside a while loop like this. Is it clear to you? Any doubts in this? Any doubts? No. Now, apart from these two methods, there are other methods as well. So we also have a method called as remove. What does remove method do? It will just remove one element. How do I call it? LST.remove or ITR.remove? ITR.remove. But when I say remove, am I passing the element? Yes or no? Am I passing the index? Then which element will it remove? Sorry? Wherever your ITR is there, that is the element it has to remove. Normally in your cursor, how does it work? If you right click on anything, or if you double click on the cursor, will it open all the files that is there in your screen, or only one file in your screen? One file. Which file? Wherever your cursor is, that one. Same way this also works over here. So if you want to call remove, you will say ITR.remove. If you say ITR.remove, one element gets removed. Whichever it has to be the next, that gets removed. Great. That anyway shifted towards this side. That's why the last one was removed. And what are the properties of this particular thing, if you ask me? The properties of this is used for all collections. Used for all collection means you can use it for list, set, queue. But at the same time, there is a disadvantage of this. What is the disadvantage? If I want, I can traverse like this. But if I want to traverse in reverse direction, it is not possible. That is a disadvantage of this particular thing. So how can I overcome that? If you ask, for that there is another cursor, and the name of that cursor is what we call as list iterator. How does list iterator, have you heard or not? In list, there was one method which I did not teach you. That is the one. So how do I call this? You can simply say list iterator. So if I say list iterator, how do I call list iterator? Is LST dot list iterator. If I say LST dot list iterator, it will create one cursor for me. I want to give a name for this. I will give it as Li. So Li is the name given for this, and I need to give the reference. What is the reference? List iterator. So I will give it as list iterator. Is that clear to you? Once I am done with this particular thing, what is that I want to do is, I want to check whether there is next element. What is the method? Whatever you saw in iterator, same method. What is the method name? Has next. As next will say whether there is next element or not. If there is next element, it returns you true. If there is no next element, it returns you false. How do I call it? Li dot as next. If there is element, returns true. No element, returns false. Is there element? Yes. If there is element, I want to fetch the next element. How do I fetch it? There is a method, and the name of that method is what we call as next. How do I call this? Very simple. You just say Li dot next over here. If you say Li dot next, it will return you the next element, and it will move Li one step towards the right side. Is that clear to you? Again, after this, I want to check whether there is next element. How do I check? Li dot has next. If I say Li dot has next, it will say me true or false. If there is an element, it will say true. Is there an element? Yes, it will say true. If there is no element, it will return me false. If there is element, now what I want to do is I want to get the next element. How do I get the next element? Li dot next. If I say Li dot next, it will return me this particular element, and after that it will move the cursor one step towards the right side. Is it clear? Same thing I want to repeat. I want to check whether there is next element. Yes, it is there. Then print it. Li dot next. Li dot next means it will print the element, then it will move one step towards the right side. Like this, I want to keep repeating this again and again. Can I do it or not? Exact same code what I showed earlier. Put it inside a while loop, your job is done. Is it clear to you? So this is how I can make use of list iterator. So is it doing everything that the iterator was doing or not? Yes. Along with this particular thing, it also has a method called as next index. What does next index do if you ask? Next index will give you the next index. What is the next index? 3. Is that clear to you? Next will give you the next element. Next index will give you this index. Is that clear? Now, if you want to print the next index, you can make use of next index and print. And how do I do it? Li dot next index. It will help you to get the next index. But my question is, if I say Li dot next index, anyways it will give me 3. But along with that, will it move the cursor right side or not? It will not. It will move only when you call next. For next index, it shall not move. Is that clear to you? Apart from this particular method, there are other methods as well. So the next method that we have over here is has previous. What does has previous does is, it will say, is there a previous element for Li or not? Is it there or not there? Yes. So what does it return? It will return you a Boolean value. If it is there, it returns true. If it is not there, it returns false. So how do I call it? I can say Li dot has previous. Is it there or not? Returns true in this case. Next, if you want the previous element, means if you want this element, there is a method for that as well. What is the method name if you ask me? What? Previous. If you simply say previous, it will give you the previous element. So what is the previous element? 20. So how do I call it? Li dot previous. It shall give you the previous element. Not only it gives you the previous element, it will also move the cursor one step towards the left side. Is that clear to you? So next will move the cursor to the right side. Previous will move the cursor to the left side. Is that clear? Apart from that, if you want the previous index, you can do that as well. How do you do it? Same as next index. You just have to say previous index. If you say previous index, it will give you the previous index. Is that clear? So this is all I need to do. I will say Li dot previous index. The previous index is 0. Will it move one step towards the left side? No, it will not move. Only in next and previous it shall move. In other methods it will not. Apart from this, there is one more method, not just one method, there are many more methods. So one method that we have over here is add. What does it do? It adds one element. Where does it add the element? Does it add over here? No, it will add where your cursor is. So if you say Li dot add 120, what will it do is, it will add the element over here. So 120 gets added over here. So similarly, in case if you want to modify certain things, that is also possible. So for example, I want to set the element. So is it possible or not? Yes. Where will it set? Wherever your cursor is. So if I say Li dot set and if I say 200, over here it shall set that particular element as 200. Similarly, if you want to remove the element, you can also remove the element, same as the previous method. So I will say remove. What element does it remove? Whatever is the element that is present where the cursor is, it shall remove that particular element. Or in fact, it does not remove this one, it removes this one. That's a small animation mistake. Is it clear to everyone? So these are all the different methods that is present inside the list iterator. So whatever is there in iterator is present in list iterator, because list iterator is a child of iterator. Is that clear to you? But there are certain advantages of this. What is the advantages compared to iterator? This can move in the forward direction as well as backward direction. At the same time, iterator, does it give you index values? No. Does this list iterator give you index values? Yes. Is that clear to you? Apart from that, there is one disadvantage as well. What is the disadvantage if you ask me? List iterators are applicable only for list. The name itself says list iterator. And where did I show you this method list iterator? Did I show it inside the collection or inside the list interface? If it is there inside the list interface, only list can access those methods and not other methods. Is that clear to you? Any doubts? No. Great. So, this is all about iterators, list iterators as well as enumeration. In this, what all is frequently used if you ask me? So, first of all, I will say which is not used. Enumeration is never used. I will guarantee you will never use that throughout your life. But iterator and list iterator you would use. So, how to use that? We will write some code and we will check it. Is that clear to you? So, let us start writing some code. I will let you know what is my requirement right now. So, the requirement is something like this. The user will give me 10, 20, 30, 40. And after that he will say exit. So, what should be the output after this if you ask me? The output should be this is the output I am expecting. Is the question clear to everyone? So, over here, is it saying how many elements will be there at starting? Yes or no? Oh, analyze. Many are analyzing. Some are seeing my face and analyzing. I don't know where it is written in my face. You understood my question? My question is it mentioned how many elements the user will give? Or not mentioned? Not mentioned. So, it is your duty to write the code accordingly. How do you write the code? Okay. Fine. Let me write the code. First of all, I will create one list. Which list? You can create array list, linked list, vector, stack. Anything you like, you create it. I will create array list. How do I create? New array list. I need to mention what type of elements. What type of elements? Integer. So, I will say integer. I will give a reference. I will name the reference as list. Is it clear to everyone? Next, what I will do is, I will again, I want to add one element. How do I add the element to the list? I will say list dot add. Now, whatever element I am adding over here, should it be directly taken as 10 or should it be a user input? User input means should I create scanner or not? Yes. So, first let us go and create a scanner object. So, I will go and create one scanner object. How do we create a scanner object? New scanner system dot in. I have created the scanner object. Next, after this particular thing, what type of input do you need? Integer means you will say scan dot next int. Whatever value I get, I will store it inside a variable called as x. X is a value which is taken from the user. Should I add it into the list or not? Yes. If I want to add it to the list, I will just say x over here. Is it clear to everyone? Now, if I want to add the next element, should I repeat this line or not? If it will take the input, it will add to the list. Take the input, 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 add to the list. Am I repeating this or not? So, if I am repeating this again and again, should I put it inside a loop or not? Yes. So, I will put this inside a loop. So, I will make use of a loop called as while loop. What is the condition? I do not know, but these are the two lines I need to add. So, I will put these two lines inside this. Now, what is the condition is? Is this an integer input? Yes. Then I will add it. Is it an integer input? then I will add it. Integer input, yes, only if it is integer input I will take the input. Integer input, I will take it. Integer input, no. So how do I know whether the input given over here is integer or not? There is a way. There is a method inside the scanner class which will say whether the given input is it integer or is it float or is it string and all of that. If I want to take an integer input, what do I say? Scan dot next int. Similarly, there is one method called as has next int. What does this has next int says is, it will say true if it is an integer input. It will say false if it is not an integer input. Same if it is an integer input, should you take the input or not? That's why I have written this inside the loop. If it is not integer input, should you take the input or you need to stop taking? So it will return you false. False means you will come outside the while. Is it understood or not? Have you seen this has next int or not? When you are typing in Eclipse, it will show, when you are saying next int, it will show this suggestion, correct? What did you do when it showed the suggestion? Did you research on that or ignored it? Ignored it. That is the difference between the people who really are aspiring to be software developers and the people who just want to get to be a software developer because that's a need for them now. So you can decide which category you belong to. You can always change your category as well. So anyways, once this is done, it would have taken all the inputs. Now what is that I want to do is, I want to print the list and check whether it is printing all the elements or not, or has it taken all the elements or not. So I will just say list, and if I execute this particular thing, I will say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And after that I will say something. Integer input? No. It has stopped taking. And you can see whatever I have entered is present over here. Is it correct or not? Yes. But I don't want the output like this. I don't want the square brackets. I don't want this comma. I want them to be printed separately. If I need to do this, should I print the list or should I make use of a loop? I need to make use of a loop. Now which loop should I make? For loop or not? Huh? For loop. I will not use for loop. I will make use of a list iterator and print the elements. How do I make use of list iterator? Have I shown you the code or not? Yes. The same code I will use over here. What is that we need to do is, how do I get the list iterator? List dot what? List iterator. It will give me a list iterator. I will call it as li. So you can clearly see the li type is what? List iterator. In that list iterator is pointing to what type of elements? Integer. So within angular brackets it is written as integer. Now how do I use this if you ask me? If I want to fetch the next element, what is the name of the method? Li dot next. It will give me the next element. Now am I repeating this again and again or not? Yes. In that case I will put this inside a loop. So I will put this inside a loop. Condition I do not know as of now, but I want to print it again and again, so I will paste it. And if when I am printing, I will print in the same line, so I will give a space and I will also remove this ln. This much is clear to everyone? But when should I print that particular value if you ask me? Only if there is the next value, correct or not? How do I check whether there is next value? Has next. So what I will do is, I will say li dot has next. If the condition is true, it will print the next element. So what I shall do is, I will just execute this and show it to you. I will say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, end. Is it giving the expected output? Yes or no? Yes. Next what I want to do is, I want to print 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Now when you are saying li dot has next, li dot next, is the cursor getting moved till the end or not? Yes. The cursor was here and it has kept on moving. Now it will be where? At the end. Now if I say has previous, will it return me true or not? Yes. So I will say has previous as a condition, and I will get the element by saying previous. Can I do the same thing? So same thing I need to duplicate, but rather than writing has next, what should I write? As previous. Rather than writing next, what should I write? Previous. So that is what I shall do. So I will just come over here, and over here I will say has previous, and over here I will say previous. And in between, if you want to give a print in the separate line, I am doing this particular thing. So now if I execute this, am I getting the expected output? Yes. That is all you need to do. Any doubts in this? You want the indexes to be printed, you can say li dot index, previous index or next index, whatever you want, you can print. Is it clear to everyone? Are you sure? Great. Now this you can apply for array list, you can apply for linked list, you can apply for vector, you can apply for stack. Now I am just checking one more thing. I have created an array list over here. I will just duplicate this particular method. Rather than array list, I will say linked list. And I will import linked list as well. Will the code work similar to previous code or not? Yes. Let's execute and check the output. I will say 10, 20, 30, 40. Is it giving the output? Yes. But my simple question is, when I created an object of array list and when I executed this add method, and when I created an object of linked list and when I am calling the add method, is it calling the same add methods or different add methods? Same or different? Same. Is there anyone who says it is calling different add method? Raise your hand. Properly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of you have failed in your object orientation classes. That is all you mean, apart from the people who raised their hand. Same, if you create an object of array list and call a method, will it call the method of the same class or a different class? Which class will it call? If you created an object of array list and say list.add, will it call a method which is present inside the array list or the linked list? Linked list. Array list. If you create an object of linked list and call a add method, will it create the method present in array list or linked list? So is it same method or different methods? Different methods. Both are two different classes having two different methods. Is that clear to you? But I did not change the code as a developer. Yes, you can say same methods only if it is in collection. But in collection, did you give the body for that? No. So the implementation of both the add methods, are they same or are they different? Implementation is different. When you say add, it is actually, in case of array list, it is adding the element in the contiguous memory. Even in case of linked list, it is creating a separate node, then making the connections. Implementation same or different? Different. I showed you everything diagrammatically in yesterday's and day before yesterday's classes. And that's your understanding. And oops, polymorphism, all of that was taught. This is only your polymorphism. This is real-time example of polymorphism which is already implemented in collections. You can give these as real-time examples for polymorphism. Is that clear to you? So please make sure you revise every day. If you don't revise every day, this is your condition. And when you revise, you also keep thinking How can this be used there? That can be used over here. The problem is, throughout your education system, it was made sure that if any question comes from this chapter, it will be only to that chapter. If any question comes from chapter 2, it is only of chapter 2. They never gave you question which will be of chapter 1, 2, 3, 4 combined together. But in your interviews, it is not going to be like that. In your interviews, one question will come from chapter 1 till chapter 10. All questions will be combined and they will ask you one. But you never attended any such exams which did this. But if you are prepared for IITs and NITs, for the entrance exams, in the physics, chemistry, maths and all of that, they would have combined and asked. Probably no one tried for it. That is the difference between true engineers and engineers in certificate. It might hurt you, right? That is the reality also. That is the thing. So if you don't want to be hurt, then make sure you practice accordingly. Make sure you become a true engineer. And prove me that what I told was wrong. Is there anyone here ready to accept the challenge and ready to prove me or not? Anyone who is ready? See? No confidence at all. This is the reality. You should say, yes, I am ready. You see, after 1 month, I will prove it to you. I will come with multiple offer letters and I will prove. Or I will build an application and I will show you. You teach me advanced Java, I will prove it to you. I am not the engineer in certificate, I am the true engineer. Nobody is there, everyone looking at me. You hurt my feelings. Anyways, let's continue. Any doubts still here? Are you sure? Some are busy discussing. He is true. So, usually when you go to industry, right, you don't deal with all these integer values. You know what do you deal with? You will be working on different applications. Like, let's assume you are working on, let's assume you got a job in Zomato. So, assuming. So, if you get a job in Zomato, probably they will say, I want the list of all the restaurants and I want to sort them based on the ascending order. Or maybe if you are working in Amazon, when the user actually comes and clicks sort by rating, you need to fetch all the details which is present inside that particular Amazon's database, means all the products, and after that you need to sort it based on the rating. So, are you sorting only the ratings or the whole products itself? Is only the rating getting changed or products are also getting up and down? Products. So, these are the kind of data that you actually deal with. So, I will give you a simple example. I want you to work on that particular. Is that clear to you? What do I mean? The input will be given to you like this. Not Zomato or Amazon or anything, simple. You take Zomato, Amazon and all. In each of this there is a customer, correct or not? That is a very common object that you can have. So, let us assume that user will give you 3 as input. Along with this particular 3, he will give you the inputs like this. He will give you name. I will take the name as maybe Alex. He will give the email alex@gmail.com, and he shall also give you one more detail. Let's assume he is giving you his any other detail? Mobile number. Apart from mobile? Age. Okay. Let's assume he is giving you age. Oh, sorry. Age means like 20. Like this, he has given one detail. Like that, he will give you another detail. Bob. Then he will say Bob at gmail.com. Next one more detail, 21. Next one more, Charlie at gmail.com, and age is 99. So like this, he has given you 3 details. What is that I want you to do is, I want you to store all of these details inside not one object, multiple objects. How many objects? 1, 2, 3. 3 customer objects you need to create. And inside that 3 customer objects, you need to store, what is that? Name, email and age. And after that, you need to print these details. How should you print these details if you ask me? The output should look like this. Let's assume this is the input. The output should look like this. ID colon and after that 1. Next, name colon Alex. After that, email colon Alex at gmail.com. Next, age colon and after that 20. This is of the first user. Sorry, it should not be 1, it should be 1001. That should be the one. Next, what is that I need to do is, next line it should say ID. Oh, by the way, let there be one extra line like this. So like this I want to print all the details. I mean over here Bob at gmail.com and Bob's age, Charlie at gmail.com, Charlie's age. This is what is the expected output. Is the question clear to everyone? Now, is there a single object or multiple objects? I want all these objects to be stored inside a list. Which list? Your favorite list. If you like array list, store it inside array list. If you like linked list, store it inside linked list. If you like stack, store it inside that. Whichever list you like, you store it inside. Is that clear to you? And after that, I want you to print in this format. Is the question clear to everyone? Any doubts in the question? Any doubts? Are you sure? How many of you can write the code? Okay. You want me to write or you will write? I will write this. You write something else. I will give another problem. So shall we start? Actually there is no complex logic and all. I am just asking you to create two objects. If I need to create you an object, should you create a class or not? What all are the instance variables inside this class? ID, name, email, that's all. Easy or complex? Easy. Complex. If it is complex, I will not say anything. I will hurt your feelings if I say. So, let's create a class. So I have created one class over here. Inside this class I will not have the details. So these are the details I need. So I'll keep it over here. You all know how to use Eclipse? Yes? Okay, great. So first what I shall do is I will create one class called as customer. So how do I create a class called as customer? Class customer. Oh, sorry. Correct? Can I create an object of this class now? Yes or no? Yes. Next what I want to do is I want to create 4 instance variables. What is the first one? ID. I will say integer type ID. What is the second one? Name. Name is what type? String type. So I will say string name. What is the third one? Email. So that is also string type. So I will say string email. And after that, what is the last one? Age. So age is of integer type. So I will say int age. Is that clear to you? Now we have studied one rule in encapsulation. All of this has to be what? Private. So I will make all of this as private. So I will make name also as private, I will make email also as private, and I will also make age as private. Next, one more thing that we have learnt, we need to make all of create a constructor. So this is the 0 parameterized constructor, and you should also create parameterized constructor. Do you know how to create parameterized constructor? How? Sorry? Same name as class name? Yes. So I will just duplicate this one. And what all are the parameters? Integer type, ID, next. String type, name, next. Sorry? String, email, next. Sorry? Int age. Once you are done with this particular thing, you need to write one more thing over here. What is that? This dot ID is equal to ID. Next. This dot, sorry, name. Name is equal to name. Next. This dot email is equal to email. Next. This dot age is equal to age. Is it clear to everyone? Any doubts in this? No. I will remove this. This is how people write when they do not know how to use Eclipse. When they know how to use Eclipse, what they do is this. Constructor is created. You want to create setters and getters. Everyone knows how to create setters and getters? Yes. So I will also create setters and getters. You have all the setters and getters ready. Get ID, set ID, get name, set name, get email, set email, get age, set age. All the standards are followed or not followed? Followed. Any doubts in this? No. Your class is ready now. Now all that you need to do is write the logic inside your main method. Now till here any doubts? No. So whatever class you have created, it has instance variables, it has 2 constructors, 0 parameterized and parameterized, and it also has setters and getters. These kind of classes are called as POJO classes, means plain old Java objects. From now on, you will start creating these classes in every situation. Is that clear to you? So it is compulsory that you know how to create a POJO class. You should be able to create a POJO class within a minute. Is that clear to you? Maximum 2 minutes. Let's come over here. What is the first input that I have over here? What is the first input? What type? Integer type. You know how to take integer type input? Yes. For that, what is that I need to do is, I need to make use of scanner. So I will say new scanner, and after that I will say system.in, and I will say scanner. Scanner is created. I want to take integer input, So what I will say is, I will say integer type n is equal to scan dot next int. This is what I will say. Next, how many inputs should I take now? 3 inputs. If user says 3, I need to take 3 inputs. If user says 5, how many inputs? If user says 10, how many inputs? Is it clear to you? So basically, should I take n inputs or not? Do you know how to write a loop which will execute n times? Yes or no? Yes. So let's start writing a loop. I will say for, sorry, int I is equal to what? How much? 0 or 1? You can give any value you like, I will give 1. Next I will say I is less than or equal to n, and after that I will say I plus plus. Any doubts till here? Any doubts? No. Now what I want to do is, I want to take this as an input. Say me, is it a single input or multiple inputs? It is a single input. It is not multiple input. So you are saying when the user says Alex comma, it will take one name. Is that what you are saying? No. Then it is it is a single input. How do you take this as input? Is it an integer value or a string value or a double value or a float value or a boolean value? Which type it is? String. String means what is the, how would you take the input? Scan dot what? If you want string input, you will say scan dot next or next line. I will say scan dot next. Is that clear to you? So whatever I am writing inside the loop, should it repeat again and again or not? Yes. That part I will repeat again and again. So let's not focus on the loop more now. So I will keep this loop outside as of now. Okay. So when I say scan dot next, it will give me one string input. I will store it inside a variable called as s. So basically what has happened is, whatever input has been given, this is stored inside a variable called as s. This is one single input I have as of now. Any doubts still here? Any doubts still here? Any doubts? No. Now say me, should I store all of this inside one variable or different variables? One variable or different variable? Different variable. If you want to store in different variable, don't you think whatever you have in S, should you split that into multiple strings or not? How do you split into multiple strings? How? There is a method for that called as split. You don't know about the inbuilt split method, then in that particular case I have shown one split method where it splits wherever there is spaces. Have I shown or not? That condition, if you change from space to comma, it will split wherever there is comma. Do you remember or not? Yes. So India is my country if you don't remember. So how do I split if you ask me? You just have to say s dot split. If I say s dot split, where should I split? Wherever there is comma. So I will pass comma as a parameter. Now what does this return us back if you ask me? It returns us multiple strings. So this will be one string, this will be another string, this will be another string, because power gone. So if these are the three different strings, was it the same condition from very long time or just now? Okay. Fine. So if it is returning us multiple strings, can we store it inside a single variable or not possible? It is possible if it is an array. Is that clear to you? Inside one array, can you store multiple strings? That is what split method returns. So what does split method return if you ask me? Split method will return you one array, and the type of that array will be string type array. So what I am going to do is, I am going to store the values inside this particular thing. So first one what you will have is Alex. Next you shall have alex@gmail.com, and the next one will be 20. Is it clear to you? What are the index values? Index value will be 0, 1, 2. And I will give a reference for this as AR. So basically when you say s.split, you need to say string type AR is equal to s.split. If you write this particular line of code, this is what you will get as output. Any doubts in this? If you have, ask me right away. Any doubts? Any doubts? No doubts? So basically, we are splitting one string into multiple strings. Where are we splitting? Wherever there is comma. And that's why I am saying s dot split. Wherever there is comma, it will return us an array of strings. Is that clear to you? So inside your AR of 0, what do you have? Huh? What do you have? Huh? Alex, okay. I heard like address. I was like, from where did address come? So AR of 0 means you have the name. AR of 1, what do you have? Email. AR of 2, what do you have? Age. So all I need to do now is, I will just say s dot split. Where should I split? Wherever there is comma. What will I get? I will get a string type array. Is it clear to everyone? Next what I will do is, inside my AR of 0, what do I have is name. I will store it inside a variable called as name. And what is the type of name? String. Similarly, in AR of 1, what do I have? What do I have in AR of 1? Email. So in AR of 1, I have email, so I will say email. And after that I will say the type of this is what? String. Next, after this, what is the next thing that I have is age. So I will say AR of, where is it present? 2. So whatever is there in AR of 2, that is only my age. And what is the type of age? Integer. But if you see this line, is it giving you an error or not? Yes. Why is it giving you error is because when you split this particular thing, will it split into multiple strings or combination of strings and integers? Not combination, it will consider everything as a string. So this is a string, this is a string, this is also a string. But do you want to store it as a string value or integer value? Integer value means convert this string value AR of 2 into integer. How do you convert a string into integer? Sorry? There is a method inside the integer class. You know wrapper class named as integer? Inside that there is a method. The name of the method is parse int. For this method, what should I pass is AR of 2. So I will pass AR of 2. Is that clear to you? Now, what does this method return if you ask me? This method will return the same value, but it would have converted this value into integer. What do I mean by this is, it will be returning you 20 like this, not with double quotes. Is that clear to you? Now can I store that value inside the age or not? Yes. So what I will do is, I will cut this value and I will store it inside a variable called as age. Is there an error or error is gone? Error is gone. There is one detail that is missing over here. What is it? ID is missing. Great. So what I will do is, I will simply give one ID. I will say integer type ID is equal to, I will say 1000. Is that clear to you? Let's see how can we solve it. But I have given us 1000. Now say me, do I have all the details? ID, name, email, age. Have I got all the 4 details or not? If you have all the 4 details, do you know how to create an object of customer? Yes or no? Yes. So if you know how to create an object, let's create the object. How do we create an object of customer? New customer. Which constructor? We have 2 constructors, parameterized and 0 parameterized. Which one would you expect me to use? Parameterized, because I have all the parameters. So what I will do is, I will just make use of parameterized constructor. It has assigned the values as it is, and it would give me an object of customer. So I will store it inside a variable called as C. Is it clear to everyone? Once I get this customer object, should I keep it outside or should I keep it inside a list? Inside a list. Because say me, is user giving me only one customer detail or multiple customer detail? Multiple customer detail I need. So if I need to store it inside a list, should I create a list or not? How do I create a list if you ask me? I just have to go over here on the top. Let's create one list. So let's create one list. I like array list, so I will say new array list. Say me, what type of elements am I storing inside this array list? Huh? String. Wow. Huh? Object. We are storing customer objects. Whenever we were storing integer objects, we wrote integer. Now we are storing customer object. So what is that I need to do is, I need to say I am storing customer object. And what is the reference of this? I will give the reference as list. Is that clear to you? Earlier what were we doing is, we were writing integer and integer because we were storing integer objects. Now what we are doing, we are creating object of customer and storing customer object. So all I need to do is go back inside the loop, and inside this particular loop, have I created the customer object or not? Yes. Add that into the list. You know how to add that into a list? Yes. So I will say list dot add, and I will add this C. Is it clear to everyone? Any doubts inside this? Are you sure? After you have added one customer, should you again add the next customer or not? If you are adding the next customer, first you should take this input. I am taking the input. Next you need to split into multiple inputs. I am splitting into multiple inputs over here. After that I need to extract all the values. I am extracting all the values, storing it inside a variable. After that you need to create one object of customer. I am creating an object of customer. Whatever object you have created, where should you add it? Inside the list. I am adding it on the list. Again next, repeat it. Take the next customer, split that into multiple details, get all those details, create an object, add it to the list. Keep repeating this again and again. How many times? N times. So you need to put this inside a loop. Is it clear to everyone? So I have already created this inside a loop, and you can already see that I have put this inside a loop. Any doubts in this? Any doubts? Yes, no? Slowly if you say yes in your mind, I will not get to hear. And I am not a psychiatrist or anything. So, once we are done by taking the inputs, next what should we do? Print it. How do we print it? How do we print it? You know how to traverse a list or not? We have multiple options. If you want to make use of iterator, you have iterator. You want list iterator, you have list iterator. Can we use for loop for traversing? Yes or no? Yes, we can use for loop as well. So, which one you want me to use? Iterator. I will use for loop. You use iterator. So, how do I write for loop? I will say for. How many times it has to traverse? N times. Or how many elements are there? So many times. How many times? How many elements are there? Only so many times, right? Is it very complex question? Yes. I will answer how complex it is. So next, what I want to do is, I have multiple customer objects created. How many objects? I will get to know. And how do I get that also? I will show it to you. But this list, how many times I want to traverse is, I want to traverse from the 0th index till the last index. How do I write the loop for that? Integer type. I is equal to, where does indexing start from? 0. Next condition I do not know. Next I plus plus. Same, what should be the condition? I is less than. If it was an array, I would have written ar dot length. If it was a string, I would have written s dot length. But it is neither an array, neither a string. What should I write? Dot size. So name of the list is list itself. So I will say list dot size. Is that clear to you? Now what is that I want to do is, I want to get one element from every index. How do I get an element from a specific index? How do I get? There is a method called as get. So all I need to do is, I just have to call the method called as list dot get. And I need to pass the index I. Whatever I have passed, I will store it inside a variable. What is it? Once I pass the index, what does it give me? It will give me the customer. This is that customer. After that, I will say just C over here. In the next line, should I print the customer object or not? Yes. How do I print it? System.out.print C. Is it clear to everyone? Any doubts in this? Any doubts? No. That's all. Your program is over. Any doubts? ID is 1000, 1000, 1000. ID. I didn't understand what you meant. I will execute. If you elaborate and say me clearly, ID, directly printing customer. So what is the problem? Random values it will print. Same thing you are also saying, random values. No, let they communicate. What is toString method? Why do you need to override? What will it do? How it will give? Like how exactly? If I do something somewhere else, how it is giving here? No, my question is very simple. You are saying me I should write it in some other class, not in the main method. If I do it in some other class, how is it giving over here is my question.
Println is calling to that toString method of that class.
Then it will give the answer. He is not from your batch. He has, what concept is going on in your class? Polymorphism. Encapsulation. Encapsulation has just started in his class, started or got over in his class. He is answering what it has to be. And there are others in the class who have already attended complete oops, don't know what should be done. Some have no clue what is going to happen as well. So let's execute this. So whatever you guys told is correct, but learn how to communicate it in a very well way the other person understands it. Is that clear to you? That's what I was saying, how well will you communicate. So anyways, I will give the detail as 3, means 3 values is what I need to take, and I will say, what were the details? Alex, alex at gmail.com. Next, age, how much was the age? 20. Next I will say bob at gmail.com. Next one more was 21. Next Charlie. Next charlie@gmail.com. How much? 99. Great. So I'll press enter. ID, name, email, everything you are getting. You guys were saying ID something. Where is ID? So what is it printing? Huh? Address. So this is the address of that particular object, correct or not? Yes. Why does this have D, E and all in address? Why? Huh? Say. Oh, address is mentioned in hexadecimal. Very good. Is it hexadecimal or not? Yes, it is hexadecimal format. You will only see A, B, C, D, E, F, no G to Z. Is that clear to you? Hexadecimal you have learnt or not? Yes. So that is given in the hexadecimal form. But ask yourself once again, is it really address or not? So how do I get this if you ask me? I want to get the name. If I want to get the name or ID, I need to say c dot get ID. Correct or not? Yes. After that I want 1 comma. So I am concatenating 1 comma. After that what is that I want is I want the name. How do I get the name? C dot name. After that what I want is 1 comma, and after that what I need is, next one is what? C dot get email. So I will say get email. After that I need 1 more comma, so I will put a comma, and after that I need the age, so I will say C dot get age. This is how you need to write. Now if I do this particular thing and if I execute it, let us see whether we will get the expected output. Are we getting the expected output? But ID is always same or different? Same. Where did I say to start printing from? 1001. So it should start printing from 1001. But what is it printing is 1000, 1000, 1000 is what it is printing. So how do I fix this problem if you ask me? By now you should have been easily able to say these answers. Over here you have 1000, correct or not? Yes. What is I value at starting? Second time? Third time? 1000 plus 1? 1000 plus 2? 1000 plus 3? That's all. Plus I, if you write, your problem is solved. That's why I wrote 1000. So now let's re-execute this. Are we getting the expected output? Yes. Any doubts in this? Any doubts? Whoever feels that whatever I have solved is difficult, I will say you one thing. I will show very clearly. How much of collections is there in this? And other topics are there. I will start from the start. Creating a class and creating instance variables taught in Java in the first 15 classes. Am I right or wrong? After that, creating constructors, 2 different constructors, constructor overloading taught in Java classes before the 20th classes. Am I right or not? Creating setters and getters and following all the format taught in your core Java classes within the first 20 classes. Am I right or wrong? Encapsulation over all of the things, whatever you had to do is over. Next, scanner, you have learned so many times. Array list, you have learned just now. I agree. Next, scan.next, how to take input. You should have known by now, and you know. Loop, not new. From pattern programming, you know these things. How many times? You already know. How to split strings, not in Java, programming strings in Java. In case you skipped that, missed that something, I told you how to create your own split method. After that, you are just extracting the details. If fetching the detail from AR of 0, AR of 1, AR of 2 is a very difficult task for you, then you should decide how you want to proceed. After that, you are storing in variables, calling the constructor. Object is created. You have put that inside a loop. Same, apart from list.add and apart from creating a list over here, all of the other things, is it something which is already learned or something what I taught in today's class? Already learned. Now if you say this is difficult for you to do, then what does it mean is, it clearly means to say you never practiced oops in laptop, that is what. Now you ask yourself, how many programs have you solved in your programming classes? And compare the same thing in Java classes. Whatever was done in your Java classes, did you go back home? Did you open your laptop? Did you execute that program? Yes or no? How many of you say yes, this will not be difficult for you? How many of you say no, yes, it will be difficult for you, because I told you in the very first class of programming, you need to practice every day. When I say practice, every skill you want to learn, you need to practice. Every skill. You want to learn how to communicate well, you practice it. You want to say the answer, practice it. Because all these years, you are practicing how to write, not to orally say. And whatever is your interview is not Viva. Viva is different, interview is different. In Viva, they will just see, do you know the answer or not? In interview, they will say, do you know the answer? Can you communicate it better or not? So please make sure you work on all of these skills. Is that clear to you? This is how you can actually get the customer objects. Next, tomorrow we will learn how to sort these customer objects based on their name, how to sort them based on their age, how to sort them based on their ID, how to sort them based on their email, because when it comes to your any e-commerce applications, what do? You sort the products. So how you sort the products, you should be able to sort other things as well, like name, age, all of those things. If you can do this, you can do that as well. So how to do that in the back end is what we are going to see in the upcoming classes. So please prepare and come. And one more doubt I have over here. What is that doubt if you ask me? For example, let's assume that I will create one object of string class, new string, and over here I will pass BTM. I will give a reference as S1, and after that I will say system.out.print S1. Say me, whatever I have created over here, is it an object or not? Yes. Is this a reference for that object or not? Yes. Am I printing the object reference or not? Yes. Let's execute the program. Is it printing BTM or not? Is this the value that I passed over here? Yes? Great. Now my simple question is, what I have done over here is, I have created an object of customer. I pass the values, but when I am printing it over here, as C, it did not print me the values, rather it printed me address, correct? Why is it printing me something else and why not values? If the case is, that is say giving you object or something like that, my question is, C is also object, S1 is also object. In S1 it is working, in C it is not working. Some of them are already saying some toString. If it is toString, why toString, and how exactly it works also I want to know. Is that clear to you? So you have 48 hours of time, sorry, in fact 72 hours of time. So please make sure that you come with an answer. Is it clear to you? So have a great weekend. Just one small question I have asked. Come with the answer on Monday. If you do not come with the answer, worst of the worst case, at least go through inheritance. When I say go through inheritance, who is the parent of customer over here? Object. What are the methods present in object class? If you don't know, get the answer, because these are guaranteed questions in interview. So please come with an answer. Whichever sheet you have created methods of what is that, collection list, in that method methods of objects also I need, and what do each of those methods does also you should do. I am not asking the code inside that, just the list of methods. There are hardly 11 methods. Make a note of those 11 methods and come on Monday. Have a great weekend.